What the?
What are you doing?
Oh my god.
I don't even know what's going on.
Don't forget there are gift cards available at RitaYanez.com.
Hi there, Gemini. This is your monthly reading for the month of December 2015. Happy holidays to you. The atmosphere that we start off with is the Eight of Wands in reverse, and this is a card that could indicate that things aren't really off to the right start. They might seem to start and then stop. So the Eight of Wands in reverse primarily is a card that indicates that something is not yet fully ready to move forward or to go to the next level. So it might have less to do with air travel than it does for Gemini adults, but in your case, I think it could be that some plans aren't fully laid out or they're not foolproof, and that you could start off thinking that you and your friends or your family or whatever it is that you're planning to do is supposed to go a certain way, and then invariably it won't because it's just not well thought out. So if it could be that you're expecting that your parents are going to say yes, that you can go do Christmas holidays with your girlfriend, with your friends, your boyfriend, whatever, while they go back to some state to see family, you're probably looking at a situation that isn't realistic, right? I don't want to be the bearer of bad tidings. I just got to call it the way I see it. Of course, I don't know your personal situation, and I don't know what it is that your plans are, or it could even be that you are somehow intertwined with somebody else's plans, that they're hoping they get to do this with you. And it could even be that some friend of yours really wants to go with you, and you've said like, well, hey, it's okay, my parents will just pay for your ticket. And that's not really the way it works, because these arrangements have to be made far in advance. And when people buy tickets to do something, go somewhere, like fly in an airplane at the last minute, even a train ticket can be very expensive at the last minute. So you also wouldn't want to just make the assumptions that your family has that money available just because it seems like everybody's going somewhere, and why couldn't we just bring this extra person along? So it could just be a little bit of information that you don't have, that you're missing, that if you really understood it, you would know why something isn't as feasible or easy to accomplish as you do. So with that said, the Seven of Cups in reverse in week 2 is indicating that there is a level of not being realistic, that some situation is not realistic. So it could be that a friend of yours is trying to include you in something over the holidays or just through the month of December. This comes up at least once, and you guys are thinking, what's the big deal? I just want to spend these next 2 weekends with my friends before I leave. And maybe it's just not in the cards because your parents don't let you sleep out of the house. When I was a kid, I had 2 friends where I could spend the night. One of them was a little Mexican friend of mine that lived up the street, so my family and her family knew each other very well, and so that was safe. There were 3 girls, no boys in the house, and she was also allowed to spend the night at my house. I had 2 brothers, but her mother knew that my mother would not let the boys be around the girls. My mother would go out of her way to make sure that the boys were not there, and I can't even remember one instance where the brother that would have been a problem would have been my middle brother, the one in between me and my eldest brother. He was the type that would try to hit on anything, touch anything, just do anything. He was crazy. So I can't even remember one instance where that kid was in the same house with us. And then I had a friend of mine, Marinika, who is Yugoslavian, and my mother didn't really know their family well, but I think that culturally my mom felt comfortable that it was 2 sisters, no boys. her dad was hardly ever there. It was just Marinika, Delisa, and Peter, or her mother, Florence. Peter was hardly ever even there. So very, very tight controls on that, but with good reason. I remember how hard it was to get my mother to let me spend the night at a neighbor's house across the street, the Petersons, when it was Janelle's birthday. And the reason why my mom was having a hard time, she knew Janelle's mom. Janelle's mom was like major active on the PTA scene and did so much for the kids and was the one that was doing all the bake sales. And she was this incredible mother. But the problem was that Janelle had a brother. And I remember that my mother did reluctantly let me spend the night because she really liked that family. I remember how funny it was that they had these poodles that were ancient and they would jump on the tables and run right across them. And I thought I was in the best place ever. This house was so fun. And I remember that there were never-ending M&M bowls and all kinds of fun treats, like enough treats to make you sick at the end of the night. And then we finally fell asleep. And I remember they were remodeling the back of their house at about the time I think my parents finished. And I remember I was alone at some point with her brother, who was a sweetheart. I thought he was really cute. I would have been the one who probably would have been more dangerous because I wanted a kiss from him. And I would have loved just the experimentation of it. And then it made me realize later, my mom's right. Maybe I'm the one that shouldn't be somewhere because maybe it's me. Even though I didn't have any symptoms of this, I could have only been about maybe 10. I don't even think I would have been 11 because my parents were divorcing at 11. So at about 11, just before I turned 12, so I couldn't have been much more than 10. So with that said, I just want to let you know, I'm giving you some examples of what I've gone through. I have all boys and I've never let them spend the night somewhere that I wasn't comfortable with. There's pretty much only one friend that my kids have that I would allow them to spend the night at right now. Pretty much other than that, they had some other friends who these kids lived with their grandmother because their parents had some unfortunate circumstances. And I felt comfortable with the grandmother until the next day that my son had said, hey, look, this and this was going on at the time, this inappropriate thing or that. And I was like, oh, damn, well, I guess that's going to take this right out of the equation because I can't let it happen. And I would much rather be the party house where I have everybody end up at mine because I'm watching. I'm one of these people that never sleeps, so there's no way that anything could go wrong. I would have to have it go wrong within the few hours that I might get some sleep. So you can understand I can't even do that very often because I feel exceedingly responsible for whatever's happening around me. So I don't want you to feel like everybody's out to get you. It isn't. It's very, very rare to find a parent who's actually really trying to screw up your life. It does happen, but these are like extreme Jerry Springer situations. That's really not the case. Most parents are trying to do their best to keep you away from alcohol, drugs, smoking, underage intimacy, pregnancies as a result. I mean, these are disastrous things that could just wreck people's lives. I know that there are times when even pregnancies in teenagers can result in some successful situations when those babies can be adopted out and, gone to families where they would be better off. But it isn't very often, you guys. So I'm just letting you know that there's something here that meets an unrealistic type of your expectancies of it, I should say, are unrealistic. And I'm just saying, think about it again. And then whenever you're going to approach an adult with something that you want to have happen or something you'd like to do, something you want them to let you do, think about it from their point of view. Take yourself completely out of the equation and think about how they must see things. Don't think about what you would think if you were them. Don't think about what your friends' parents think of and how they treat the kids. Just think of your own parents very objectively. You're mature enough to do this. You're old enough to do this. It's not just about putting yourselves in your parents' shoes. It's about being able to sit there for a little bit and contemplate if you were your mother with your mother's personality and with your mother's words of wisdom, and or even if she shares with you some of the things that went wrong and the reason why she's more strict than her mother was, think of where she's coming from. Think of how this looks to her. And also keep in mind that parents have a legal responsibility to ensuring that nothing happens to you. Because if something happens to you, I'll give you another crazy example that your mother is letting you spend the night at the house of a known stoner. you end up at the house and they say, no, the stoner Uncle Jim Bob isn't going to be there. And mom says, okay, but also I've heard that you've got a cousin who has been hit with charges for a sex offense against a minor child. Now, if something goes wrong, you get touched, you get hurt, you get picked up, you're stoned or worse. And then the police, when they do their investigation, if they find that your mother knowingly let you stay at the house of a known drug user, knowing that they have a relative who is a registered sex offender, do you know that your mom could get into some serious trouble, if not do prison time, if the results or consequences are considered to be negligible? If she knowingly, so remember, I'm not trying to make excuses for them or give you a pat on the back and say it's fine, go crazy, do what you want. I'm trying to show you why, if you ever worry that your parents are too strict, I want you to remember not just the fact that having a kid is easy. That's why people shouldn't have kids until they're in their 30s anyway, but it's also because something could happen to these children and people are going to go to prison. And of course, we don't want to see anybody pregnant or some boy end up getting a girl pregnant and now his life is forever changed. I know some people would call it ruined. I don't want to disrespect the idea that there's got to be at least one or two people in history that have been successfully able to get their kids adopted out or raised in some way. But just remember, because I don't want this to be like the month where everything sucks. I just want you to know, be realistic in what you're asking for. It would be just like if you were asking for a new convertible Jeep for Christmas. And we're like, pretty much, well, we don't even own a house and we don't have a car. And you think that, it's kind of that kind of thing. Or that Christmases are slim as it is and, holiday pay isn't enough and you want a pair of Air Jordans or something. It's probably not going to be realistic. So week 3, we've got the Ace of Pentacles, which shows us that you actually get back on track and that you start to see that the expectations that you have now based on different perspectives is more appropriate, that it has better chance of being more of a potential. Maybe you're able to say, Mom, if I can't go spend the night at their house, can they come to our house and spend the night? Your mom might be like, you know what? I'll do that. How about that? That I'm okay with. You didn't have a tantrum. You didn't get upset. You didn't pitch a fit. You didn't kick and scream. So most definitely I'm going to reward you that way. Keep that in mind. Week 4, we've got the Hierophant. So there could be something pretty traditional going on for Christmas. And it could be that you're feeling like, well, you really wanted to do something out of the box. There's the new movie, the Krampus, some kind of crumpet cramp. There's a new movie. You're like, that's what we want to do on Christmas Eve. And your parents are like, no. Or your grandmother, your foster family, whatever's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. We're going to sit down and eat and pray together and have a wonderful night and have hot chocolate and open our presents together, whatever it is. So, and it could also be that, it could be interpreted such as that your family's actually going to do something very outside the box and that this is a time for shake it up, that they're going to do something different. So by week 5, we get the 10 of Cups, and this is a good indication that all's well that ends well. And that most definitely is going to be the case with you. So I think that you'll see your family in a new light, whether your family is one person, 2 dogs and a cat, or your family is 2 dads, a cat, and a baby adopted brother, or 2 moms and a dog and somebody else's grandma, and you don't even know who this woman's family is. And whatever it is, just remember that the spirit of peace and love and harmony, being thankful for all of the things that don't even have to have anything to do with religion, because, I don't do religion. I love Jesus. I've seen him. So to me, it's important. But I don't do religion or boxes or pigeonholes because I don't want to be separated from other people. I want to just be a part of everybody's lives in whatever ways that they are mine too. But I think you're going to realize that there's a real appreciation in knowing that no matter how different or weird, I could tell you that there's no more weird family than the one that I was raised in. I mean, there'd be a hard pressed competition to find more weirdness and dysfunction than that. But my own family, the only family I have being me and my 3 sons, while it's very unusual, I will say, it is very comfortable and it is very loving, and we know we've got each other. And you'll remember this too, Gemini, at the end of the holiday season, that who's with you there and who you're with and who are the people that have each other's backs. That's what importance is too. Sometimes you find that somebody who was just somebody you couldn't stand ends up being your best friend because you lost your dog on Christmas Eve. And even if you can't stand this chick, she was the only one that walked in the cold with you all night long and put up posters everywhere and held your hand and said, I'm here for you. Whatever you need, we can look again tomorrow. Don't forget that. Have a wonderful holiday season, and I'll be talking to you soon.